Operation Sindoor. Well, that's the name which has been given to the military strikes which has been unleashed across multiple places in Pak-occupied Kashmir as well as in Pakistan. What should one make out of it? What exactly has happened? There's an official briefing that has been given. And what should India be braced up for next? One of the foremost military strategists, military minds, retired Vice Chief of the Indian Army, General Philip Campos, joining us live. Great pleasure for us to have you with us today on this program, sir.
Thank you, Bhupender, for having me on your show.
Let me straight away first begin by asking you, sir, just respond to what has happened at 1:44 a.m. early this morning. How big is this moment in India's strategic capability and Indo-Pak relations?
I think it's a very unique moment in India's post-independence history for a number of reasons. As we are all aware that before 2016, we had never retaliated overtly. Whatever retaliation to Pak terror attacks had been there were in some sort of covert form. But after 2016, post-Uri, there was a overt attack, as we know, what we call the surgical strike. And thereafter, in 2019, in Balakot, we again had a overt retaliation in the form of an airstrike. Today, what has happened is unique. Not only has the Indian Armed Forces kept up the strategy of retaliation in case of a terror attack attributable to Pakistan, but in this particular case, they have also struck targets which are beyond POK. Though the press conference today, they were very careful in clarifying, and which is the truth, is that these targets have been, specifically all these strikes have been targeted at terror camps or terror infrastructure. Every name that has been mentioned today in terms of the camps which have been struck have been known to not only the intelligence agencies, but they have been common knowledge for a very long time that this is where the terror training, the recruitment, the planning, the control of operations, where these actions take place from. So what is unique, like I said, not only have we struck as per our policy of overt retaliation, but we have widened the canvas. We have gone in for targets beyond Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and even hit targets in Sialkot and Bahawalpur, which are in the state of Punjab.
So, as a military strategist, so General Campos, you've tracked sort of the evolution, to India's disadvantage, but certainly as part of Pakistan's strategy, the growth of military infrastructure. Tell me, the Pakistani army chief, who was the former ISI chief, knowing his mind as well as you do, what do you think is a Pakistani, how would the Pakistani establishment be looking at what has happened today?
See, this present chief is again a unique character, in that he has been ex-DG ISI. Generally, when we know somebody who's DG ISI, he is of a different mindset. He's not of an operational mindset. He's of a mindset which is, part of the deep state of Pakistan in terms of putting together terror attacks, building up these organizations like LET and Hizbul Mujahideen. So you require, it's a person with a different mindset. But this time, in General Munir, Asim Munir, we've got somebody who has spent time as the head of ISI. So when you have a DG ISI coming as the army chief, carrying the same mindset, you can expect some problems. And whatever reputation he has got even before he became chief, we are all well aware of the circumstances in which Prime Minister Imran Khan was locked up, how this person became the chief. In all this, there was some sort of feeling that this person is more aggressive, that this person is capable of doing things which other chiefs, like the previous chief, General Bajwa, were not likely to get involved in these sort of terrorist
Misdemeanors.
activities. Terrorist activities.
Yeah,
And specifically, let me mention something.
Sir.
This is an open tweet I saw on the 5th of April. 5th of April, there was a tweet in which there was a Corps Commanders Conference media release of this conference had taken place on 3rd and 4th April. There was a media release about what had happened in the conference. And on 5th of April, some organization, Pakistani organization, had analyzed what had happened in the conference, which was chaired by General Munir, and what exactly he had said. Two things were striking. One, that he held the Indian government and the responsible for what had happened in the previous month in terms of the hijacking of the train in Balochistan. And number two, he spoke to his corps commanders that it was time for a strategic response against India. So here you have a chief who in a corps commanders meeting, whose minutes are put out in the open domain, who says that he's going to do something against India. And when a ex-DG ISI says something like that, it has to be understood what exactly he's going to do. And then he follows it up a couple of weeks later by this talk in his talk to the overseas Pakistanis, where he has made very provocative statements against India. So when you put all this thing together, this is not normal for a chief of a professional chief of the Pakistan army to be behaving this manner. So there were some signs that that something was going to happen.
Can you throw some light, General Campos, on the kind of ammunition, the kind of the strategic capability that we have displayed today, the precision strike which has been spoken about at that press conference which was done by the Indian state? What kind of ammunition do you think would have been used today?
See, the details have not been given, but from whatever we have picked up, from whatever spoken today, and what is available in terms of various articles on the net today, one is very, very clear that possibly Rafale aircraft have been used, and two types of ammunition. One is the Scalp ammunition, which is long-range air-to-ground cruise missiles. This have a very long range. They say it's as much as 250 kilometers. That these Scalp air-to-surface missiles have been used. And these can be fired at long ranges. It can be fired at standoff ranges from within India, given that Bahawalpur, which was at the furthest, was about 100 kilometers. So it would be well within range. And the second ammunition used by the Indian Air Force is the Hammer guide bombs. And these guide bombs, as we know, that, as compared to what we earlier knew as dumb bombs, the Air Force normally just drop bombs which, they have to depend on their skills as to where the bomb landed. But these days, especially as you have seen in the Russia-Ukraine war, the tendency is to have guide bombs. That means once they are dropped, they can be guided to their target. And this is something called Hammer guide bombs, which have been used, which have a range of about 70 kilometers. So this is the second armament that has been used. And the third that people are talking about is loitering ammunition or kamikaze drones. Now, drones, as you know, is the latest in warfare, most commonly used in the last few conflicts which have taken place globally. And what they're talking about is that these drones, they move around in the area, carrying out surveillance, controlling the armament, and finally attacking the target. So there is mention of loitering ammunition and kamikaze drones having been used. As to who has used it, whether it's the Indian Air Force who's used it, or the Indian Army who's used it, or the Indian Navy, I'm not sure. But this is what I have picked up from the whatever literature is available today.
And lastly, sir, again, in your understanding as a military strategist, when something like this happens, how do you prepare yourself in India? What should we be prepared for?
See, now that this has happened, let us be very clear that from whatever statements are being made politically or by the Pakistani military, there will be retaliation, and we have to be prepared for it. And it can be anything. Not only given the unpredictable character of the army chief, but there would be a lot of emotions which would be active in Pakistan today. And to that extent, there will be a tendency to respond to that emotion. And my sense is that they will be compelled to do something. And we have to be prepared for a whole range of actions, any type of armament, and anywhere. I wouldn't say that it could be restricted only to the state of J&K, as it has happened in the past. But then they also struck Bombay in the past, Mumbai, as part of the Mumbai terror attack in 2008. And they have struck terror targets all over India in the past. So I feel that the Indian state, its intelligence agencies, security forces, its armed forces, must be prepared to protect its territory against attack which might come in any form in any part of the country and against any of our interests anywhere.
All right. General Campose, thank you so much for turning the spotlight squarely, sir, on exactly what has happened and what should we be watching out for. Thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you.